Hello, everybody, and welcome to another division I'm going to be quickly talking about. This is going to be the NFC East. And again, like these videos are, it's just quick thoughts, some things I'm looking at in the preseason, and maybe I'm going to be keeping an eye out during the regular season as well. Not necessarily a prediction video, but more so kind of just a, hey, heads up, this is what I'm going to be looking at and judging these teams by. So we're going to begin with the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn leading the show now. Definitely an interesting hire, but he was solid in Atlanta. That final season was rough, and hey, he's been a good DC for Dallas these past couple years. Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback, Heisman winner. I am really excited to see how they build around him and how he plays. The big thing is I want Washington to learn from their mistakes of RG3. That's one of the things I'm worried about. Can they protect him and actually, not run him to death like they did RG3? We'll see. It is a hopefully a better organized organization with Dan Snyder leaving. And honestly, Washington does have a relatively sneaky good team surrounding Jaden Daniels already. Their receiver room is led by scary Terry McLaurin. Even Jamison Crowder is a solid vet presence with a arguably underrated young core. It depends how you view these guys. I'm a little bit higher on a few of them, like Jahad Dotson entering his third season in the league, as well as the addition of Luke McCaffrey. I feel like he's going to be a really, really underrated receiver this year. Maybe not put up the flashiest of numbers, but hey, he could be a reliable target. And I think De'Ami Brown could finally have a breakout season. I know it's kind of a weird name, but some people might not expect, but he is a solid receiver, and in his limited time Washington has given him so far, I feel like he's made the most of it. They added some more vet presence with Zach Ertz to the tight end room and Austin Eckler in the receiving room. Both are going to be solid checkdown options, and even Zach Ertz can go deeper down the field. Austin Eckler pairs up with Brian Robinson in the running back room for kind of a nice 1-2 punch. I do feel like Eckler is more of a receiver than a running back, and Brian Robinson is more of that solid running back option. So I would expect Eckler more on third downs than Robinson, and Robinson playing more first and second. We'll see how they decide to do it. The offensive line remains a question, obviously, plus the defense is a question as well, as their deadline moves last season was selling off some of the defensive pieces like Montez Sweat and Chase Young. But I mean, again, they still got a solid team. When it comes to the preseason and the training camp, I'm looking at Sam Hartman, seeing if he can win that QB3 job and even potentially the QB2 job. I think it's a possibility, and Sam Hartman is a solid guy. But again, I don't expect him to really rise up the ranks that quickly. If anything, he'll be their emergency third quarterback this season, which I think is a fine role for him for right now. We'll obviously see how things progress. And with how chaotic the NFC East has been in the last nearly 20 years, I would not be surprised if Washington has a better season than some people expect. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I still don't know exactly what necessarily a better season that people expect is, but they're definitely a team that they could win a few games that people think they should easily lose. The next team is the New York Giants, who are in a very, very weird situation. I've watched a little bit of offseason Hard Knocks, and I mean, it seemed like they got a solid core in that front office with Brian Dable as the head coach. But the big thing, obviously, is they need Daniel Jones to have a massive, massive bounce back season from injury last year. Because that contract is a mess. But they didn't make it easy on him necessarily to have that good of a bounce back season. With Saquon leaving, there goes a really reliable piece on the offense, and you replace him with Devin Singletary, who was still a really good running back, but he's just not Saquon level. Saquon provided a fear factor to his running and passing ability that is just really, really hard to replace. He still has some good receivers, though. Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Isaiah McKenzie, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodgins, and their first-round pick of Malik Neighbors. Jones has the weapons to at least be productive in the offense. Now, can the O-line protect him? That's a different question. And honestly, I haven't really seen much that they've improved. I mean, did they really make any splash sign-ins or anything? But we'll see. Most of New York's additions came on the defense side of the ball. Adding Brian Burns to pair up with Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke, Kevon Thibodeau as a kind of a front seven group. Secondary still leaves some concerns, but if that front seven does what it's supposed to, it provides pressure off of the secondary, and it's nice. The sudden retirement of Darren Waller definitely shakes up a few things in the passing game because now they got Daniel Bellinger as their top receiver, as their top tight end. It's a weak point, but it's not necessarily the end of the world because they have a bunch of other receiving options. And this is the division where I can see the most coaches on the hot seat, including Brian Daboll, if the Giants have a similar season to last year, where they go under 7 wins and kind of just like do not have a clear path forward. Now, if Daniel Jones plays really well and the Giants are fighting for the division come like week 14 or so, then yeah, Daboll's job is safe. But it all kind of depends on how the early parts of the season goes for how much leeway that end of season is going to have. Because we'll have to wait and see. Now, to talk about Philly, I'm obviously wearing the Kelly Green Jalen Hurts jersey. Philly is... Oh boy, Philly. I mean, I definitely think they're one of the more improved teams in this division. They're going to be playing really angry and really hungry this season after what happened to end the year last year. They pair Saquon with Kenneth Gainwell together, and it makes for a really, really nice backfield. And I think it's going to provide some problems for teams, though I don't know exactly how many problems. CJ Uzomah is added to the tight end room with Dallas Goedert, and that's a nice 1-2 punch at tight end. Philly ran multiple tight end sets about 24% of the time last year. I expect that number to be up. By how much, I'm not sure, but CJ Uzomah is definitely an improvement in tight end too. The O-line is pretty much entirely intact, but of course Jason Kelce, the Hall of Fame center, is going to... The Hall of Fame center, Jason Kelce, retired at the end of last season. And don't get me wrong, Cam Jurgens is probably going to be a really, really good center for Philly. But it is so hard to replace a Hall of Famer at any given position that it's going to take some time for Cam Jurgens to find that same style and that same energy if he even does get anywhere close to Kelce's level. I still think the offensive line is going to play incredible and it's going to be talked about for weeks on weeks on weeks. But I do think there could be some, like, at least hiccups in the preseason. I definitely don't expect it to last into the regular season because that's not who Philly is. And Philly's defense got bolstered even more in the draft. They improved their secondary, adding Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So their secondary is already really good. They add Bryce Huff to kind of get younger at the edge rusher position and move on from Hassan Reddick. And that's a move that's not getting talked about nearly enough, I feel like, when it comes to the NFC East discussions. Bryce Huff, he was on the Jets, so I know him pretty well as a Dolphins fan. He is a really, really good and reliable pass rusher. So I do expect him to make an impact for this Philly defense, who is going to be coached by Vic Fangio. He comes over from Miami, and his style of coaching didn't work for us down here. I think it could work for Philly up there, mainly because he wants to be in Philly. He wanted to be in Philly last year. So he's going to be looser, I feel. So I think it will work better. But just like Daboll, if Philly has another disappointing season, I could see Sirianni's seat getting a little warm. How warm? I think it kind of just depends on how competitive they are in the division and if they win a playoff game. But if they if they have a massively underperforming season, then yeah, his seat's definitely getting hot. Finally, we will talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And even though they had a really, really good season and they won the division, Mike McCarthy's seat is on fire right now, just because that's how Dallas is, whether they want to admit it or not. I would like to say that their chances of repeating the division or even getting back to the playoffs are good, but the issue is they've done barely anything this offseason to really improve the team. Tony Pollard leaves and they get Saquon back to replace him, which, I mean, could work, but Saquon's prime years are definitely behind him at this point, which means I would like to see Deuce Vaughn get some more proper chances this season and get some more carries. Will that happen? Probably not, because it's Dallas, but who knows? Michael Gallup is now in Vegas, which means the receiver room is barren. CeeDee Lamb is still there and Brandon Cooks is still there, but besides that, pretty much none of the production from last year comes back. I mean, they still got Turpin, but he's primarily a kick returner. I think he could be a good piece for that receiving room and as a potential slot receiver, but I just don't know. The defense should still be better, and if anything, the defense should improve from last year, which is a scary sight. But not because they really added anyone, but because Trayvon Diggs is back from injury. That was a massive injury they suffered last year in week 2. So with him being back alone, I expect the defense to look a lot better. But besides that, I mean, there's not much I'm really expecting out of Dallas. I would not be shocked if they don't repeat division champions, because the NFC East hasn't had a division champion repeat since 2005. So, because of that, I can already tell you right now, before we do the predictions come the preseason, I do not expect Dallas to win the division. I have one of the other 3 teams winning it. Who exactly, I don't fully know right now. I have an idea. That will come later on. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below and subscribe if you are new. We have 6 more divisions to go through before preseason hits. And you also leave your thoughts down below on this division. It could be a really, really fun and chaotic division this year. Hope you all enjoyed. Have yourselves a damn good one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.